Works. Are we working? Is it working? I keep having tinterware problems today. So if me and Michelle are live right now, I'm so happy. Would you just let me know in the comments if anyone's joining us, and we'll give you all a minute to swallow your tea, eat your omelette, come on board and join us and grab your pads and pens. So yes, hello. Right, tell me who you are as well, just because it's saying Facebook user. Hi, Tina. It always gives me your name. So at least we know we're live and we're in there, which is amazing. And it's lunchtime live. What day is it? I don't even know what day it is, Michelle. Tuesday the 19th of May. I was just on a call and I was like, next month, which is, didn't know what month that was. Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, how is it June? And me and Cheryl have got something like really exciting planned for the beginning of June. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like in 2 weeks' time. That's really scary. So we've got Wendy and Cheryl and Tina and Letty's on as well, which is amazing. And Jo hopefully is on here because she's going to be helping capture tips. Suzanne, brilliant. Got them all here. So I've been dying to get you on one of our things. So this is lush because obviously we've done our Inspiration North podcast with you. Me and Cheryl were like, were we the last ones of 2019? It was we're welcoming in 2020.
We are you're not the first ones this year.
Or the first one of 2020. So a lot of this could be our fault. Because it was all about like new decade, new goals, getting excited about the potential, which is still available. But yes, we didn't see any of this coming, I think it's fair to say.
No, but if you think about it, if you look backwards, it was obviously coming, but I think we were all massively in denial.
In denial. Like me and Cheryl were literally in denial. Like in London, everyone was wearing masks. I mean, Cheryl, well, you were there as well, weren't you? We were still like, why are people wearing masks? Like, what's all this COVID thing? And Cheryl was like, I think we might have to listen to the news because people seem to really see. We couldn't get into Vodafone. Like, had to answer 50,000 questions. We're like, watch the news, perhaps.
We went to Manchester after London.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were there on the Saturday, so that's really scary, isn't it? So, but yeah, look, we're here, we're healthy for now. This is what we have to give thanks for. And today we just wanted, it's Mental Health Awareness Week. So all of our theme, as you know, this week is around mental health awareness. And for me, not just from a mental health perspective, but you're one of those people who was out there pioneering, doing stuff to proactively inspire, engage, make the world a better place, which I remember like the first time I reached out yet again on LinkedIn, I was like, oh, she might want to speak to me. She does all these really important things. I was, honestly, you know me and me imposter. And then you answered us. I was like, oh, she's answered. And we had like a little coffee and I was like, oh yeah, she swears like a trooper. Like we're going to get on. We're so aligned. We can put swears in the middle of words.
Yeah. It's been really hard actually, they're not swearing when the child's been around. So
hasn't it just have let him.
Yeah, I use the F word as a punctuation mark.
Yeah, I have let a few slip out. And the reason I wanted to get you up, well, will you just, for the guys that might not know you who are watching this, because it'll be on YouTube as well, just explain a little bit about what you do, what your passion is, and because you got a big mission, haven't you, as well? So, and then we can link that all into what Mental Health Week's about for us.
Okay, so talking of the devil, my child's trying to ring me now, so you'll have to wait. So I'm a chartered psychologist, so it's all around business, work, and careers. It's not mental health side of things. That side of things didn't really interest me actually. When I was studying, it was all how to make people happier at work. And so I have two businesses. So one is Insights Business Psychology. So mostly work with organizations, mostly selection assessment of humans to make sure that they get in. I always joke that I keep the bad guys and girls out of organizations. And then I also, I met my partner, James, and he always wanted to start a podcast. And I was like, I'm one of those people, somebody says something, I just do it. And even when somebody's just saying, oh, wouldn't this be a really good idea? My head just goes, right, we could do this, we could do that, we could do that. So that's sort of, I never thought of myself as particularly good at implementing stuff. Figuring out how to implement it is kind of my sweet spot. So before James knew, I had booked us in some podcast training and and literally launched a podcast, and it was kind of, oh, what's happening? So got some of our friends to do our first.
You mentioned it. We had a cup of coffee and you mentioned podcasts. Like, ta-da! And he's got such a good voice.
Oh, he has got the best voice. So we've been actually researching recently the books that he could potentially read that are out of copyright and have like adult bedtime stories.
Yeah,
so definitely got the best voice. And I was
kind of
thinking, Lady Chatterley's Lover, but that's still in copyright. We're not allowed to do that. No.
Damn it.
I think we've got 6 more years until it's like 100 years out of copyright in the
right.
US.
And then we're on it. So
yeah, so we set that up with just the aim of having a fun podcast, and we've just finished this week's podcast number 76. We're looking for a really good guest for our number 100. So that will be really exciting. So we've got 6 months more or less to find that out. But the mission for that is to help humans live a happier, more fulfilling life. So we do lots of bits and pieces with volunteers for the Action for Happiness charity, which we love. And kind of for that sort of year and a bit, I've been so entrenched in learning anything I can about positive psychology. Because when I studied, it was kind of more the sort of the downside of everybody rather than the good stuff. So that's what we did. And yesterday we applied. I'm not sure I should be telling you this, but
do it. It's an exclusive.
We pressed the button on creating our charity.
It's just amazing. What can you tell us about it at this point?
So Inspiration North, we're going to be developing some happiness courses, so from our own research, based on our podcasts. So our podcasts are currently getting researched at a couple of universities. That's really exciting. So happiness for adults and organisations, and then the charity is going to be doing happiness for children.
That's amazing. I just love it. Like, it's so exciting. And I love that you've taken psychology. And it's funny, isn't it, how like putting people in the right jobs and making sure that they're happy in the right jobs, which is right for them, but also that the company are hiring the right people, which makes them happy. And like for me, like a big part of like mental, like a lot of what we see are so many people who are unhappy in the jobs, who are square pegs and round holes, but they've been there for a long time. So we'll just stay there. Do you know what I mean? Or like, I can't have another career now because I'm too old. I'm 30. Things like that. It's so important, isn't it, though, that we are the right fit for the jobs that we go for.
And it's one of my biggest frustrations, I suppose, because I've worked in organisations. So I left my last proper job almost 4 years ago now, and you see so many people who are so miserable in their jobs, and it's not as if they're in prison that they can't leave. There's always something else. There's always another job or something else that they could be doing.
Yeah, but
it's kind of, we've been conditioned to just don't move around jobs, and just and the fact that work has to be hard work.
I always
be hard. My funny thing is, I think because my job is so much fun, even the job that I get paid money for, not all
the other stuff that you do, and the days 8 and 9 of the week.
But I feel like a total fraud sometimes, actually charging people because I'm having a bloody ball. It's just bonkers. And it took me a lot of years to find the job that I absolutely love. So
isn't it like, if we bring kids up though to believe that that's the norm, that that's what you're meant to have, you're meant to be happy and you're meant to be joyful, and it's meant to feel like, and you just happen to get paid for it as well, rather than indoctrinating into them that work is hard and you have to work hard for what you want, and you have to make sacrifice, and it's got to be painful, and you don't get it unless it's you've had loads of knockbacks on the way. Like, this is what we tell people.
Oh, it's bonkers. And one of my favourite positive psychologists, a chap called Sean Aker. If you have not listened to his TED Talk, you have to. It's brilliant. It's hilarious.
Oh, I'll have to put the link in there.
I will. I'll send you it. And he talks about the fact that we always say, well, if we get if we get the car, we get the promotion, we find the partner, then we'll be happy.
Yeah, I'll be happy when I just
putting happiness off, and it's almost that we have to have success first before we can be happy. And you basically say, well, that's absolutely no nonsense. It's the other way around. You know, you have to be happy to be successful.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're the CEO of a £1 million company, or 20 squillion million whatever pound company, and you know, you look at your life and you're flipping miserable, that's not success. You know, monetary success, maybe you might have, you know, a beautiful wife, or, you know, gorgeous husband, or, you know, but do you want it?
Absolutely. And I think we were just on a call before this, actually, me and Cheryl chatting about this, and it's that whole thing of how you define success. And if you had that now, how different would your life be, rather than waiting for, because you do in your 20s, you're like paying off your student loans or whatever, and then you're struggling to get a deposit for a house, and then you're struggling to get a nicer car because you have to keep up with the Joneses opposite, and their car's bigger than your car, and then you have to get the promotion, and you want the nice office with the chair, and then you get all that and you go, oh, still not quite happy. And then you're in a midlife crisis, like at a rate. But it's exactly what we all do. And I think that's why so many women come to us and join our programs in that kind of range, where they've been doing it for a long time. They know they don't want to do that, but not sure what they want to do. And they're kind of almost scared of doing something else because I've wasted 20 years. I don't want to waste another 20. And I'm like, you got donkey's years left. Like, just do something that makes you happy. And actually, a lot of the time we find that just even having that conversation, you can fall in love with your job again. Sometimes the job's not the problem. It's just what's going on in here and all the stuff that you're telling yourself is the problem, right?
Yeah, and it's all that kind of what you focus on, you create more of. So if you look around, it's like everything's rubbish, I'm miserable, I hate everyone I'm, you know, around, then you'll just look for reasons why that's right.
Yeah.
Whereas if you know, you sort of, there's some activities you can do on a daily basis, and I'm quite happy to talk you through those.
I would love to do those.
I'm sure your guys know them all anyway, but it's almost, it's how you see the world is how happy you are, pretty much. So if you're in a bit of a doom and gloom fixed mindset, this is what, you know, I've got 17 years, 7 weeks and 72 days until I retire.
Yes. It makes you want to blow your brains out, though, doesn't it? It makes you want to blow your brains out. But like, before we do some of the practical things that you can give people, like, why is happiness like so important to you? Why is having that mental well-being, like, why this journey for you?
I hate waste. I hate seeing people waste their lives and waste their potential. So it's always been, you know, always been a problem for me, even in organizations. I'm like, well, you know, you've got this person doing that, but they're not very good at that, but they'd be really good at doing this, but they're really rubbish. It's like, it's always really frustrated me. And again, these people are just miserable, and it's just thinking, you have got one life. You know, you seize it by the ball.
It's happening now. Or when people say, well, when I retire, I'll do this. Or in 5 years, after I've got my next promotion, then I'll do my hobby. And I'm like, and I do say all the time, like, it's just so arrogant that we think that we're going to get that. Like, what if you don't?
No.
It's just crazy.
Like, you never know what's around the corner. And I'm sure there's books about this, but I'm sure nobody's ever laid on their deathbed and said, oh, I wish I'd worked a bit harder. I wish I'd spent more time at work in that job that I really hated. You know, absolutely.
Just not what we say, is it? Like, that is not what we'll be saying. So someone's just saying, Michelle, like, the impact of being and your mental health of being in the wrong role is just so significant and awful. I can't wait to be buzzing about my work. So let's look at what we can do there. We get stuck on the treadmill and miss having a life. Yeah, absolutely. And somebody said that to us in the Chaos to Calm masterclass that we're running last Thursday, and her aha moment was literally, I've realized that I've hardly spent any time just smelling the coffee. And it's like, God, isn't it? And like, you know, it was such, we're just in a rush to get the kids out of school and then get to work and get to the office, and then we're in a rush to get home and get them fed and get them bath and get them to bed, and then we've got to, and it's like, that's what we're doing, and we're not just going, just enjoy the cup of coffee. The
Yep.
kids will be fine. Their hair might not be brushed, but they'll get to school. I've had that mindset about my work recently. I'm going to choose to see the best. Yeah. And Dr. Wayne Dyer said that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And it's so powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So can you tell us, like, what are some of the, you know, because you've got your psychology head on, your mummy head. It's not like you're sitting there just spouting all of this, you know, theory about how to be happy. Like, you have made life decisions and you've lived a life and you've had life experience, and, you know, so being happy isn't just something from a positive psychology book for you. It's something that you're like us, you're working at doing and taking risks. And I'm sure there's easier ways that you could be earning money than setting up charities, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's a mission for you. So there's much easier ways of making a living. So like, what are the tips that you give people, like, to live a happier life, to have a growth mindset, to, you know, not be in a job that's sending them to an early grave, but at least they'll have a good pension, you know?
Yeah, I think I was always one of those children, and even, you know, adults, early career. I always used to question why are we doing things like this? And it's always been that. You know, you look at a leader who's saying this is the strategic plan. I'm thinking, that's not going to work. I've always been like that, and I've always been the slightly rebellious one that can't keep a mouth shut as well. So that's didn't help me with my career, I suppose, because I just refused to suck up to the right people. I'm a bit of a stubborn cow as well.
Mixed stubborn cow with very curious and likes to challenge, and you've got a woman who's a really good entrepreneur.
Well, I think as well, I haven't been diagnosed as such, but I'm 90% sure that I've got ADHD.
Right.
So once the world gets back to normality, I'm going to go and insist on getting tested to go through that diagnosis, because some things are really easy for me that other people find difficult, and then some things that people find really easy, it's like almost impossible for me to do. So but yes, I think there's more entrepreneurs who are ADHD than anything else, isn't it?
I 100% agree. Like, I massively agree. And there's certain sectors we've worked with, and when we're talking to a lot of the creative guys in tech at Adobe, one of the women in the room said she was like, a lot of us have got ADHD. So asking her to meditate and stuff, like, they found some of that quite difficult. So it's like helping ways around being mindful, whether you've got ADHD or not. And it's like, it's individual, isn't it? It's like some things will work for me that won't work for you or anybody regardless. So that's really interesting. So what would your advice be then? What would you give people as the positive psychologist expert and psychology expert around work and jobs and just being a happy human?
Well, first of all, happiness is not easy. And it's quite interesting that there's so many myths around happiness. You know, if I'm not happy, I'm defective. That happiness is the usual state for humans, and all of this stuff that, you know, and everyone else looks happy, so why am I not happy? Going back to caveman days, because I always go back to caveman days. It was terrible when I was pregnant with Oliver. It was literally, if I was a cave woman. Anyway.
Maybe we were there once. Maybe it's like in another life, because I always talk on about them as well, about saber-toothed tigers and things.
Yeah, look how our brains have evolved. They haven't evolved in, you know, this world of plenty for some people. We evolved whereby if we didn't fit in, we'd be kicked out. If we didn't look for the scary things, we would get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. And the person with the biggest cave and the most food is more likely to survive the longest. So this is why we get the comparison thing. I 100% believe that comparison is the thief of joy.
100%. Comparisonitis is a disease. It's insidious.
This fear of sticking a head above the parapets, because, you know, biologically, physiologically, we are trained to fit in. You know, our ancestors survived by fitting in. So it's like, so when you're doing something that's outside of the norm, that's why it feels properly gross.
So at a DNA level, it might not just because you've had a bad experience in this experience. It's like genetically programmed to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, and we do look for the scary stuff. You know, if you get that wrong on a savannah in caveman days, you might get eaten by a bear or mammoth or you know, pterodactyl. Go and take you away.
Caleb's gonna love. He'd watch this bit back. He's be like, "Mum, I know all of these things."
So it's almost a battle, knowing all of that stuff. And you know, Sean Aker and Russ Harris, who wrote a book called The Happiness Trap, they both talk about this. The happiness is basically the joy that we feel for striving towards our potential and going with our values and taking decisions based on what is right for us. Not, you know, that hedonistic, oh, you know, eating cake makes me feel good, and you know, and buying the dress makes me feel good, because that's all, you know, if you listen to Brené Brown, that's all numbing.
It's numbing. It's absolutely.
And the more that you care about something, the more likely you are to experience pain around it. So you know this with the entrepreneurial journey. It's, you know, you're literally all over the place. In one day you could be euphoric, crying, depressed. It's like literally, it's a roller coaster all the time.
Within an hour, it's not necessarily a whole day. So I think the bit around that I heard then really is it's about happiness is when you're making progress towards something that you perceive that you want. It's not even the attainment of the thing. It's the knowing that you're living within your values and you're taking steps forward, and you're excited for the journey almost, rather than
because I mean, the destination that they thought all they ever wanted was, you know, was to be a director by the age of 30 and have, you know, drive a nice car. Can't think of any car names off the top of my head.
Range Rover. We'll go Range Rover. That's always my default car of choice.
And you get the office because you've strived so much, and you sit there. You've got your car, and it's that emptiness because you know, you expected just to be happy. All of a sudden, now that you've got your duty goal, but it's not.
And it's the feeling. Yeah, it's the feeling, isn't it? It's the that feeling that you get when you're trying to get it. It's like I love Only Fools and Horses. And it's like how Del Boy becomes a millionaire, then he still wants to get his suitcase out and go and like sell stuff on the market because he loved that. And I think that's so true. And I think that's the scary thing for me when you think about, well, if retirement is the goal, what happens if I get there and I don't like it? You know what I mean? It's like,
I couldn't think of anything worse than retiring. Because what would you do? Be bored.
It's because we're not creating lives that we're loving to live. So we're looking at retirement and going, that thing over there, that's what I want. Which, how scary is that? We'll spend all our life, well, with less wrinkles, getting to the bit with the wrinkles, and then we'll not be happy.
But it's also like, you know, Tim Ferriss, I think, does it really well in terms of that. That the way he appears is written about working. That you have like lots of little mini retirements, I suppose. So I'd love to be able to, because I do most of my work remotely anyway. I'd love to be able to just go, you know what, 6 months, let's go and live in France. Or let's do this, let's do that. And rather than let's work really, really hard until we're, you know, 70 by the time we'll be allowed to retire, I would imagine. And then you're not old enough, you're too old to enjoy it, I suppose, you know?
Yeah. So what would you say to someone now then, with all that you know around, if they really are watching this now and going, I'm that person that I'm just trying to get through my job to get to retirement, like, what advice do you give that? Like, where do they start? Because most people go, well, I can't just pack my job in. You know, I haven't got 60, 70 grand in the bank, which most people haven't. So what's the next best step?
It's all about knowing yourself and understanding your values. So there's loads of resources online that you can help, that can help you figure out what your values are. I tried to do what's his name? I can't remember what his name is. He's got Know Your Why. that dude.
Yeah, yeah,
How to find your why, and I
yeah.
couldn't do it personally. But I attended, when I was working in the NHS, I attended a sort of resilience course where it was all about value. So literally, there's so many different things online. But just figure out what your values are. So my values are, it's kind of autonomy, freedom, fun, courage, those types of ones. So I knew I'd never be happy in a corporate.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the freedom to create the fun. And autonomy is you tell me what you want and I'll do it my way. So, and is this the path to fun, or is this the path to freedom? Maybe. So it's so values, figure out what your values are. And then
we always say that's like your North Star, Michelle, because what we do with the girls in the Real You program, like once you know that value, that one, like if you nail it to one or two, then every decision you make becomes so much easier. And if you don't like your job, you don't have to jump right away, but at least have a plan of within 12 months or whatever, right? It doesn't have to be.
And we I can't remember what the figures are, but we watch on average like 3 hours of TV a night or something that crazy. As a country. But even if you're really hating your job, what could you spend an hour a day doing? Not watching TV, but what could you be learning about? What could you be what could you be doing to move towards the life that you want, in terms of what will align to your values? So I know it's really hard, and it doesn't have to be. We did a lot. So I was a part of the NatWest Entrepreneur Accelerator, and we did a lot of visioning. So this is the vision, and I'm like, ooh, that's too far in the future for thinking of a vision. But as long as I'm heading in the direction of helping people live happier, more fulfilling lives, stop wasting their potential, then I feel like I'm on the right path.
Yeah. I think deciding how you want to feel. We see this people all the time. If you don't know what it is that you want, that's good. Like it doesn't have to be a house or a job or a thing. But like, how do you feel now, and how do you want to feel? And then just taking a step towards that. I think what we find a lot is, if you find we find that people, they say if they feel unhappy or unfulfilled or lacking purpose or direction, and they'd love to be happy and have loads of money, but because they don't know how to get there, they just stay where they are.
Yeah.
It's like
the pain of change has to be great. No, the fear of, I can't remember where it is, but basically, say your word, Shelley. You're stuck in a situation. It has to be really painful for you to take the chance to jump into something that could be a little bit less painful. But that activation energy, I find there's a really good sort of balance diagram about that activation energy, but it needs to be painful enough for you to leave it. If your job's just meh, you get money, it's harder to leave than if your job's you got a really horrid boss.
It's so true, isn't it? We get a really crappy boss and then we leave.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I did that actually, Balfour Beatty. I got all this. Yeah, I was like, no. My boss said he was leaving, and that's what the replacement would be. I was like, I'm going to.
I was just about sucking it up, but you just pushed me over the edge with this dipstick. I was going to check the comments. I've had that mindset about my work until recently. I'm going to choose to see the best things about it so that I can cope with it for now. So that's good, because then at least there's a plan. Tina saying, I don't want to rush anymore after the lockdown finishes. That's a really good takeaway from it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Joe's been capturing the tips for us. Thank you so much, Joe. Reinforces the Chaos to Calm. Thanks, ladies. Because we did a lot of work with the guys in Chaos to Calm about that value. Because it's like, to get a vision, you're just building it on a house of sand if you're not really sure what it is that you're coming from. Like, how do you get somewhere different? You're just going to keep repeating the same mistakes. Love the mini goals of Joy. Love that. Like little mini retirements. I'm going to take that one away for a day. Reducing my intake of TV in favour of diving into coaching. Absolutely. TV is a time robber. It really is. And it's just a habit. It's like any habit. Like I hardly watch any now. Neil's always going mad, but I'd rather watch like a Bob Proctor seminar or something. How great would it be to take self-charge, and not wait for a crappy boss. Absolutely. Me and Cheryl decided no more crappy bosses a long time ago. Seize the day, carpe diem. And Michelle, before we go, because I know there's something else that you're really excited about, isn't it? That is really going to help with people's mental health, people's purpose, and doing something great for the greater good.
Yes. So James, my partner, met a guy on the internet. Never a good story, is it?
You were swiping one way and you walked in the room, so he's come up with a story and he's sticking with it.
So he runs this company called 1 Million Steps, and effectively it's almost like Fitbit plus Just Giving. So we are launching a challenge that will get people off of their sofas. It starts mid-June, can't remember what the date is, but I'll post the link below.
Yeah, share it in here.
It's like a massive sponsored walk. So I think we're only hoping for people to raise about £100 or whatever they can raise. We want as many people as possible to walk 10,000 steps in 100 days. So that's 1 million steps or 500 miles. For a charity, the Pi Project. So it's Prime Inspiration Through Enterprise that James and I are trustees for. So it's a project that helps primary school children become entrepreneurs. So we give them £100 seed money and they create a business or to sell a service or products, and they make the money. They give us the seed money back. They keep their profits, and then they go into a prize in terms of the most money the schools make. So last year, one school made like $2,500 profit.
Wow.
Amazing. So we've picked out kind of people we want to work with, but they're also at primary school just now.
I love it. Little baby entrepreneurs. This is what the world needs more of. Less people just learning and retaining knowledge, and more people wanting to go out there and do something different and create something. I love that. So definitely post in here and just keep posting it in the soul system, Michelle, as the time goes, so people can get involved. And someone's just saying they could listen to you all day.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Nice? That is nice.
We've got 76 podcasts if you want to listen to them.
It would be good to post it because we did one, but there are some amazing podcasts in Michelle and James's Northern there's amazing
North podcast.
Thank you. I'm saying Northern Inspiration. Keep saying it the wrong way around. Inspiration North. So we'll post the link in here as well. So fill your boots, guys. Michelle, thank you so much. I know you've been like a mega busy, so thank you for doing this with us. And guys, we will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got Neil Lewis, and he's created something really special forward. But he's going to be talking about how meditation was a really key thing for him. So anybody that wants to try it, come and listen to the guy that was the most cynical of cynics and thought meditation was a pile of crap. And if you had the difference it's made to him, you get it from the real deal end. Thank you, guys.